So Ruan again, 90 years this year, and I asked you yesterday when we were talking. I said, what percentage of companies make it to the second generation, make it to the third generation? And you said it's not very much. I know you had some stats from some stuff you had done. So please share that, and then explain to the best of your knowledge why it's worked at Ruan. Because for the most part, I think everyone knows somebody who says, "Oh yeah, so and so's taken over their dad business, and it's not working out." And granted, not all of them are the juggernaut that is Ruan, but bigger doesn't make it easier. So again, give me those stats and then explain why you think Ruan has done so well.
Sure. And, the statistics came from, again, Kellogg Business School at Northwestern has a Center for Family Enterprises. And we actually went to a week-long course there to learn in more detail and study family business. And that was the statistic. It was something like 30% make it to the second generation, and 12 or 13% make it through the third, maybe 3% make it to the fourth. So it
Harder every year because there's more stakeholders, and you get to have a stakeholder that says, hey, I don't even know my cousins, right? I live in California, they live in New York. There's some challenges.
Well, and so every family business, has its different history, but that's what I would urge family business members to do is and leaders is go study successful family businesses, because there are best practices. And I think our founder and my father-in-law put a lot of those things in place, in terms of how the business was going to be structured, what many of the expectations were going to be of successive generations. And of course, I think about my father-in-law thinking a lot about succession planning. I feel grateful. I'm eternally grateful to him that he gave me this opportunity. But he was obviously just assessing, where the business would go and how family could become involved, and trying to give, I think, many members of the family, we have a number of businesses, opportunities to be involved, but to learn. And so there's every business and style of ownership, I think, has its pros and cons. And I think I probably came in to a family business looking at a number of the risks, and actually through a lot of the learning, realized that the family and the family culture can strengthen the business, and the family business can strengthen the family if it's done right. And some of the things that you mentioned about the widening family tree and other dynamics can be managed over time. So there are businesses that have done it and for generations, much better than we have. And I just think we all seek to learn and observe some of those best practices. But it's a privilege to be a part of a family business. And again, I just have been around them, and was kind of supported by one, with my own father's work. And so I kind of view them as sacred in a way, because they're special, and they don't go to the third and especially the fourth generation very often. And so in a competitive industry like ours, a lot of then my thinking is, how can we be different to our customers in a way that's valuable, because of how we're owned, because of the values and the purpose and the mission that we have at Ruan. How can we use the fact that we are owned like this, and that makes us a bit different? We were made it through deregulation, made it through world wars, now the pandemic. But how do we use that different ownership style, and culture, and have it be differentiating and meaningful to our customers? I think we found some important ways to do that, and that's one of the things that sustains our business. Yeah, so I just say the grit that it took our founder to start this business, and you look back during any challenging time we've had. '09 was tough for everybody. The pandemic was incredibly challenging. We sold a leasing business. That was a more difficult time in our business. And the but we have this ability to look back and say, was it any harder than sleeping in a tent as your family had no money and you traded in your car to start this company? And so there's a grit that has just been infused into our history and our culture based on how we were started, that is also a big part, I think, of why we've survived and sustained.